By a top of lonely moor, a widow lived alone. Well in she kept, and as she slept, her pillow heard her moan. Oh, many's a lonely traveler has spent the night with me, but there's no man in all creation gives content to me. Well, some can manage once or twice, and some can 3 or 4. But it seems to me a rarity is the man who can do more. I'd do anything to find him in heaven or in hell. And as she spoke these words, sure, she heard her front door bell. And the wind grew cold and lonely across that widow's moor. And she never ever turned away a traveler from the door. So boldly ran the widow, and the door did open wide. And as she did, a tall and handsome stranger stepped inside. Well, she gave him bread and brandy, and when that he was fed, he said, "My dear, now have no fear, it's time to come to bed. For I've heard you plea right down the lane, and I've come to see you right. But you must come to hell with me if I can last the night." Well, she said, "You randy devil, to this bargain I'll agree. For hell on earth or hell in hell, it's all the same to me." And the wind blew cold and lonely across that widow's moor, and she never ever turned away a traveler from the door. Now as they tumbled into bed, the devil he proved well, and he thought before the night would end that she'd be in his hell. But when they came to number 9, the widow cried out more. And when the 12th time came around, the widow cried encore. At 25, the devil felt compelled to take a rest. But the widow cried, "Come raise your head and put me to the test." At 69, the widow laughed again she cried. And the devil said, "Well, I can see just how your husband died." And the wind blew cold and lonely across that widow's moor, and she never ever turned away a traveler from the door. At 99, the devil, he began to wail and weep. He said, "I'll give you anything if you let me go to sleep." But before the morning light was up, the devil hobbled home, and the widow, still not satisfied, once more was left alone. She lay there on her pillow and she thought on 99. It's a pity that poor old devil couldn't manage one more time. I'll call him up again tonight to see what can be done. With a little more application, he could have made it to the time. And the wind blew cold and lonely across that widow's moor, and she never ever turned away a traveler from the door. But when she called to him that night, no devil did appear. For the first time in eternity, the devil he shook with fear. He said, "Of all the torments I've witnessed here in hell, I never knew what pain was till I rang your front door bell." And the wind blew cold and lonely across that widow's moor, and she never ever turned away a traveler from the door. And the wind blew cold and lonely across that widow's moor, and she never ever turned away a traveler from the door.